Welcome to the Green Room Python's second annual holiday extravaganza. It's like a regular Green Room Pythons video, but with a subtle yet classy touch of holiday cheer. My beard is a little jingly. But it's the holiday season, you gotta put up with that, right? Welcome to the Green Room, I'm Bob Bledsoe. Thanks to Coppertist for sponsoring this video, more about them later. Say hello to my hard-working production crew, Kent behind the camera. Real nice, thanks for using the sarcastic air quotes. Those have never been used before. Jiminy crud! You almost made me drop my camera. If I drop this, you'd have to replace it. And good luck finding a Radio Shack that has a 1988 RCA camcorder on sale, complete with a free case. Those kind of deals don't last more than 30 years. It's a fine piece of equipment, Kent. Thanks. You guys, we stopped the camera. I redid my beard. I'm going with lights instead of jingle bells because I don't think that we need all that audio. Let me know what you think though. Do you like the jingle bells better or the lights? Yeah, that's right. I have options in my holiday beard ornaments. Thanks for your patience, Kent. No problem. If you watched my live stream last week, you might remember that I promised that this holiday extravaganza would feature the Rockettes and Bing Crosby. Well, I may have spoke too soon because as it turns out, flying the Rockettes to Burbank from New York is very expensive. It's an entire line of ladies and they each need their own plane tickets. And then I just found out that Bing Crosby passed away in 1977. I didn't even know he was sick. You might remember these Christmas sweaters for snakes in last year's holiday extravaganza. And if you want some of these for your own snakes, there's an affiliate link in the description below. Also, beard ornaments, just in case you want to get those for your favorite mountain man or beach hobo. This video is all about the consumption of commercial goods. Stuff for you, stuff for your snakes. Is there a way to figure out if your snake will actually like something that you give them? Yes, there is. Observation. I think that one of the best things about giving your snake enrichment is that you can observe them and see how they react to it. That also tells you what they might interact with in the future and what they maybe don't care so much about. For instance, Stella here spends a lot of time inside a box that I give her. If I put a box in her enclosure, she'll use that instead of her hides. If I put a box in Echo's enclosure, she'll sit on it for a little bit and she might check it out, but what are you doing there, Stella? Huh? You okay there? Echo will check out the box, but she won't interact with it very much. She'll hardly go inside. I've had a whiskey sleeve in her cage for over a week, and I don't think she's ever been inside it. Speaking of whiskey sleeves, Tiger Lily, who you saw earlier modeling a sweater, will always be in a whiskey sleeve if I give her one. And Bear, who was the other sweater model, interacts with just about anything that I put in his enclosure. Captain Feral, on the other hand, I don't think has ever explored anything that I've put in his enclosure except for his hides. What are you doing there, Stella? Did you find a spot for your... Did you find a spot to hang out? Okay, be careful up there. The funny thing about Captain Feral, though, is that even though he doesn't interact with things that I give him in his enclosure, he's all about exploring around when I bring him out. So he gets his enrichment that way. Lydia Dietz has a piece of wood that she's had since she was a baby. And it's one specific piece of cork bark that she used to use as a hide. And then as she grew out of it, I would pull it out of her enclosure and give her another piece of cork bark that she didn't interact with at all. And every time I put that one specific piece back in, she would interact with it. And she still does. Like right now, she's a mama who would never fit under that as a hide, but she usually has her tail wrapped around it. So that one particular piece of cork bark is reserved for Lydia. That stays in her enclosure most of the time. There you go. Go be up on your cliff. By the way, those pieces of cork bark are great. I would just get a pile of those and just change them in and out of enclosures. Don't get them from pet stores because you'll pay 10 times what you would pay if you find them at a reptile expo. A lot of times you can go to expos and find really great pieces of wood and cork bark and all kinds of stuff like that for way less than you find it at a pet store. What I do with those, by the way, is when I pull a piece of cork bark out of an enclosure, I spray it off with either F10 or chlorhexidine so it kills any germs that might be on there, and then I just let it dry and then it's ready for the next enclosure. I saw a post in a Facebook group recently where this guy was kind of making fun of people who buy the Holy Roller dog balls for their ball pythons. He was claiming that the only enrichment ball pythons need are a live meal. And I'm not even going to get into that. But let's talk about these dog balls for a minute. I don't have any ball pythons that use these as enrichment. I have different sizes. Now, I could put a baby in one of these and they'll crawl around it. But really, if I put this in, let's say in the playpen that I have snakes in, they're going to crawl through it. If it's an obstacle, they'll just crawl through it, but they don't really spend any time in it. These tend to be great, though, for the superdwarf reticulated pythons. They spend all kinds of time in it. So if you have a semi-arboreal snake, these are great for them. Retics, small ones, obviously, not big ones. And carpet pythons of the appropriate size would do great with a ball like this because you can hang it. I hang these from the, oh, you can't see it. Dang it. I've got hooks in the ceiling in front of this ladder that I can just hang stuff. Like I've got this configuration right here, right? So Stella, who is right on this is the bottom of a Mag Naturals ledge and she's sitting on it right now, but she could decide to come down and crawl all through this and around it, and they tend to do that a lot. So, based on my experience, ball pythons don't really care about those dog balls, but there's a lot of other stuff that they do check out and are interested in depending on your snake's personality. So I highly recommend these for the right snake. I generally know what my snakes will use because I watch their behavior. I know that Bear is going to interact with just about anything I put into his tub, and I know that his girlfriend, Lydia Dietz, is going to interact with one specific piece of wood. This is kind of like if you get your kid a chemistry set because you think, oh, that'd be really cool if my kid got into chemistry, and then the set never gets opened or used, and then you think back on it and you go, oh yeah, she's actually never given me any signals that she would be into a chemistry set at all. It's kind of a waste of money. So figure out what your snakes are into and then get more of that for them. Some species of snake are more interactive than others. For example, I can put anything into a superdwarf reticulated python's enclosure and it will be almost immediately interacted with. It'll be all explored around and everything. Now, after they explore it around for the first time, they may decide to leave it alone forever, or they might interact with it more often. Ball pythons are a little bit less interactive, but they still interact with things that you put into their enclosure. You just have to sort of catch it. You got to catch it at the right time when they're out of their hide, exploring around and see what they're doing. Speaking of cool things you can be interactive with, let me show you some of these Coppertist products. This is what holds my cell phone sometimes when I'm doing TikTok or Instagram videos. This is let me get it away from my beard. This is an incredibly detailed octopus cell phone holder or pen holder. Anyway, my neighbor and very good friend is Louis Longy. He is a fairly well-known sculptor. He sculpts massive pieces. They're really cool. Anyway, let's go pay Louis a visit and see what he has to say about the Coppertist products. So Louis, tell me about your sculpting. Tell me what you do.
I sculpt sculptures with wax, with the lost wax foundry process.
Which is how Coppertist makes their things. Now I know you've seen this before. This is the Viper
Yes.
that I just opened your beer with.
Yes.
So what do you think of that?
This kind of detail, I don't know how they did it, but it's pretty phenomenal. It's just unbelievable.
They sent you some stuff too, but I want to show you this too.
Whoa.
What do you think of that?
That's pretty cool. And then the detail on this, to be able to be perfectly symmetrical, and then also to be able to be aligned with the teeth above. I mean, the precision, it's phenomenal.
And then look at this Cobra. This is a sterling silver Cobra coffee spoon.
I gotta wear, progressive lenses. I have to use the progressive part in order to see the fine detail.
Yeah, the little tiny scales that are in there.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. All right, look what they sent you. Here's 2 boxes.
This is like Christmas. Whoa, nice. It's a keychain with a snake. Oh my goodness. Even the detail on this, even in the joining clip is even got detail on it. And I think I'm gonna need a magnifying glass on that.
But look at this though, there's a mechanism here. It opens somehow.
Whoa. Oh crap. That's amazing. It's like
Did
this.
you open it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa.
It's like a clip.
And it's perfectly in line. I mean,
All right,
this is mine?
That's yours. Now this, you got to figure out what this is. I know what it is already.
Are you saying other than the keychain, this part?
Other than the fact that it's a keychain, that is the fish is...
You're saying this is functional?
Yep.
Like a letter opener?
Yeah. You got it.
I mean, this is brilliant. When it comes to like casting something like this, is extremely difficult to be able to this kind of detail. You know, I work in larger pieces.
Yeah.
And I don't get in this detail because it's very difficult to do.
Right.
And extremely time consuming. But this is just brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, really cool stuff.
And by the way, it should be said that the piece behind us that you did is minuscule compared to what you normally
Yes.
do.
My tallest is like a 35-foot tall bronze sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is small, but this is really small.
Right, yeah.
Check out the detail in this. It's like I'm not joking. This is very difficult to obtain.
Yeah.
It is not. And
Holy
then
I didn't even see from, because I couldn't see from back
well,
there.
now look, and then they even did underneath. From sculptor to sculptor, this is a wonderful gift. Thank you.
Here's my Viper bottle opener. Anyway, there's a link for 15% off all Coppertist products in the description below. Check that out. Tastes like the holidays. Yeah, a snake sweater can double as a beer koozie, so. A lot of people like to decorate their enclosures with some theme, like haunted house or cars or whatever. But be careful when you put foreign objects into your snake's enclosure that you're not putting something in there that they can get hurt on, like cut on or stuck in, like the rolled down window of a toy car or one of those very popular skulls that people like to put in their enclosures. Those are really good for things like a garter snake or something that's always going to stay thin. But with ball pythons, you know, you could have that in your baby's enclosure and you just kind of forget about it, but that baby grows and grows and grows, and all of a sudden their body is too thick to fit through the eye socket and they could hurt themselves. So just be careful of that kind of stuff. Some of my enclosures are very bare right now, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But first, let's find out what holiday festivities are happening in Kent's Corner.
Hi, I'm Kent, and welcome to Kent's Christmas Corner. Today, I'd like to tell you about a favorite holiday memory of mine. Every year, right before Christmas, my parents would schedule a dental appointment, and they would leave for the evening to go to the dentist, and they would hire this really cool couple to come babysit us. It was Jim Chimney and his wife, Yuletide Carol, and they would sing Christmas songs, and they'd dance around and show us a great holiday time. It was fantastic. They would only babysit once a year, and I'd always beg my mom, please let them come back. Can they be our regular babysitters? You know, like I'm 17. I think I'm old enough to pick my own babysitter, Mom. Jeez.
Kent, that wasn't... It was Mom and Dad.
What was?
Jim Chimney and Yuletide Carol were Mom and Dad putting on a holiday show for us. No, Mom and Dad were at their dentist appointment for the evening. Jim Chimney was Dad wearing a top hat with soot on his face, and Yuletide Carol was just Mom in a bonnet. I thought you knew. Dad wasn't good at washing off his face, and he'd always walk back in with soot on his cheeks still. No, right, I knew that. I just thought that since you're an adult now, you would have realized that Jim Chimney and Yuletide Carol were... No, I did know. I was just playing along for old time's sake. Okay, cool. So I mentioned that some of my snakes have pretty bare tubs this time of year, and that would be the nesting mamas who are deep into breeding season. When a snake is building follicles, they're close to an ovulation, or maybe they've ovulated and they're actually gravid at this point, they're not interested in enrichment stuff. And this is not the time to be like, hey, look it, let's change your nest around, let's give you more things, come on out and explore around, it's enrichment time. They're going to be like, dude, I'm trying to do a snake thing here, can you leave me alone please? That drive to reproduce is all-encompassing, and making them deal with random changes to their nest during that time is not nearly as interesting as it may have been before breeding season. So, in breeding season, I chill out on the enrichment stuff for those mamas. Hey Stella, you gonna do this with me? Stella, that's my hand, that's not food. Stella's gonna crawl on me while we do this, so we'll see how this goes. Some people message me and say that they can't find the Green Room Python's merch shelf when they look right below the video. And I think that's because some browsers don't show it. So all you have to do is just Google Green Room Python's spread shop. and I think you'll find it. I think it'll come up. But for most people, that merch shelf is right below this video. And on there, you'll find 30 plus Green Room Pythons items. Those are great gifts for someone who's a fan of the channel or just someone who's a fan of, you know, cool logos. I need to drop down a logo. You know what I need to do is order a shirt where they put the logo down further just for my beard. It would look weird if it was down that low normally, but my beard covers up. Anyway, also there's exclusive merch for people who are Patreon supporters at different levels. And so if you're interested in maybe supporting that way, you could go to greenroompythons.com. No, you could go to patreon.com/greenroompythons and sign up for that. You know, anybody that signs up on Patreon, no matter what level, I will see that and then I'll grab a chalk pen and write your name on a board immediately. I do it right away. So thanks to all those folks who are supporting the channel, really appreciate it. And thanks to our channel sponsor, Black Box Cages, and our video sponsor, Coppertist. Stella, you're back up there? Stella just came down to visit and then she went right back to the cliff that she was on. It always makes me wonder what's their motivation for doing things, you know? You know what I bet that was though? I bet that the movement of me getting the Patreon boards and such made her think that there might be food available and she came down to see if I was feeding. All right, you want some gift ideas? Here you go. If you currently have your snake in a tank with a red light that's on 24 hours, do them a huge favor this Christmas and ditch that red light and just buy a little CHE bulb. That's a ceramic heat emitter, ceramic heat element, whatever they call it. But it's ceramic and it's not light, it's just heat, and you can screw that right into where the red light was screwed in, and then you've got a snake that has a day and night cycle. They don't have to worry about a light in their enclosure all the time. So that's a great Christmas gift for your snake. Boxes, save them all. Build a box tower like I did in this video, or use them individually. That includes wrapping paper rolls, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's cardboard is great for snakes. How about this? I mean, just stuff that you find at like Target or whatever, just random things like that. But what I wanted to show is this is a Mag Naturals ledge. It's magnetized, and this door is pretty thin, so it works, and it's a solid piece of wood. So the magnets are strong, and I've got two magnets that hold this up, and then there's a ledge that Stella is sitting on right there that's even bigger, that's Mag Naturals. And then they both have Mag Naturals ledges and hides attached to the side of their enclosures inside. I use these for the superdwarfs, not so much for the ball pythons, but it works great for the superdwarfs. That's a good gift. By the way, those work on glass. You can magnetize them onto the side of glass, but they also work on, I think my PVC enclosures are 1/4 inch thick PVC, and that works well there. This is probably 1/4 inch wood also. Stella and Echo eventually will get too heavy for them to where they'll sit on them and pull them off, but for right now they work just great. Pieces of wood from outside. Make sure that you bake it or treat it somehow so that it kills any pathogens that might be on the wood or bugs or whatever. But this is great stuff for snakes enclosures. How about a live plant that's safe for snakes? This is not one that's in an enclosure right now. This plant's a little bit fragile for snakes to be crawling all over it. But I didn't want to take the pothos plant out of Echo's enclosure. But I bet you'll see some B-roll of that. Live plants in a non-bioactive enclosure, you know, make sure that your soil and your plants and everything are pest-free and fertilizer-free. And then these are great to have inside an enclosure. And as for gifts for you or another human being, check out the Green Room Pythons merch store and check out coppertist.wu. There is a discount code in the description, probably a link to them as well as a discount code, or maybe the link will have the discount code. Whether a snake chooses to use an item that you put into their enclosure oftentimes has to do with their personality. Do snakes have personalities? To answer that question and find out more about it, check out this video. Thanks again to Coppertist for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays. Kent, I was kidding earlier. Jim Chimney and Yuletide Carol were real.
Yes! I knew they were real.